Hello guys, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to Manala's Arc. This video is for the grade 10s stats, and there are several things that I want to cover here. So first, we want to start by working with types of data, groups data. We want to work with stem and leaf, frequency tables, bar graphs, measures of central tendency, outliers, quartiles, the 5-number summary, box and whisker diagrams, and the distribution of data, or the symmetry and the skewness of data, right? So starting here, we are saying that we have two types of data. First, we have quantitative data and we have qualitative data. So when we talk about quantitative data, in this case, let me do this. We talk about, for qualitative data, we are talking about descriptions. So in this case now, for an example, when we talk about qualitative data, this data can appear in terms of colors, it can appear in terms of sizes, it can appear in terms of, it's a descriptive data, right? If we're working with data, we have red, we have blue, we have yellow, that's qualitative data. If we are working with large, medium, small, we are working with qualitative data. Usually it's usually words here, this data that you're working with. It's in word format. And then here we have quantitative data, which appears in numerical form. It appears as numbers most of the times. So as it appears in numbers, that data can either be discrete data or it can be continuous data, right? So with that, how everything affects everything is that continuous data is like saying 12 centimeters. How would you get something like 12 centimeters? Obviously by measuring. So any number that we can get by measuring, it is continuous data. And any number that we can find by calculations or counting, that is discrete data, right? Any number we can find by counting or calculation, that is discrete data, right? If we have a data, organized data or unorganized data that shows the marks of learners for the test that they wrote, that type of data is quantitative, and the type of quantitative data it's discrete data. If we are measuring heights of people, one person is 73 centimeters, the other one is like so and so, that is continuous data, because for us to get those numbers, we have to measure that, right? If we are working with data that compares the distances from here to there, that is continuous data because we measure distance, right? So things like that, that's what we have. So about group data and ungrouped data. So in this case, when you talk about group data and ungrouped data, let's start with ungrouped data. There's a situation whereby you'll receive information that is so raw, usually it appears as a table like this. That data is raw, it is ungrouped. It's not organized, it's not grouped, it's just data, right? That's raw ungrouped data, right? Afterwards, we have organized ungrouped data, like here. This thing here, we call it the stem and leaf. This is a stem. Where's my pen? Yes, this is the stem and leaf, right? So what happens is that this data here, first of all, it's organized because we have the smallest value here being 24. We have the highest value here being 44. So it's arranged from smallest to largest value. So that data, it's organized. However, it's not grouped. It's still individual data as it is, because every number appears in singles, let's say. And then here we have grouped data here. So in this frequency table, we call this a frequency table. In this frequency table, that is group data. Why? Because we are saying in all the numbers that you can have in a data, all the values that fall between 0 and 20, write them here, right? All the values that fall between 20 and 40, write them here. All values that fall between 40 and 60, write them here. You might find out that in those values you have 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. We grouped all those values into one category of 40 to 60. We're good. That is group data and ungrouped data. And now the next part. I told you this video is not going to be too long. The stem and leaf. Now, when the question paper says draw the stem and leaf diagram for the following data set. So here's the data set for me here. I'm going to try to use this data set now to create my stem and leaf. So here's how you go about it. First, you want the stem side. Here we go. And then you want the leaf right there. And then afterwards, you look at your values. Your values, they start from 2, then you have 3, you have 3, you have 4, and up until, what is the largest value here? I think 31. Can we argue that it's 31? Yeah, 31 is the largest value. Right? That's what I see for now. So let's start with the units. The tens, we write them here. And the units, we write them there. So we have a number in the units, we have a number in the tens, we have a number in the 20s, we have a number in the 30s, right? So let's start with the units. The first number in the units is this one, it's this one, it's this one, it is this one, it is this one, it is this one here. That's all in the units, right? After that, we write them in order from smallest to largest. So starting with this one, this is the smallest, we write the 2 here. Then we go to the 3, we have 1, 2 3s, so I'll say 1, 2. Then we go to a 4 here, there's the 4, put it there. Then what's the next one? We have an 8, so we'll put an 8 there. Then we have a 9, we'll put a 9 there. Easy as that. I don't think that is too difficult, guys. I really don't think so. Now to the next part. Let me not waste time. Now we are going to the tens. So we have 18 here. It will help you to do these things in different colors, so you don't really get confused. You just flow on it. Here I know that I'm using red, so my eyes will jump around values that have a red line around them. So the smallest 10th value here, it's a 10. So the 1 it's here, the 0 it's here. Now this and this number together, they represent 10, right? Just that the 1 it's in the stem, the 0 it's in the leaf. You see that? Now, out with the 10. The next value, we have a 12. So I'll write the 2 there because the 1 is represented there. On my 12, the 1 is a stem, the 2 is a leaf. Easy again. The next part is what? It's a 13. So I'll write 3 there. I want you to be aware of something. You see, I'm aligning these values together. I'm aligning these values together. And I'm aligning these values together. Your values should be aligned. Don't write them just randomly, right? So we have a 16 and a 16. 2 16s. I write a 6 here because the 1 is represented. Another 6 there. Then we have an 18. I write an 8 there. Beautiful. Next part. The 30s. I have a 30 here. No, I'm going to the 20s. Sorry, I almost made a mistake. So the 20s. I have a 20 here. Another one. Another one. Another one. That's all, right? The smallest 20 is what? It's 20. So the 2 is here. My 0 will be there. Is that even visible? Let's choose a darker shade of blue. And then we have 21. I write my 1 there. We have 22. I write my 2 there. Aligning my values. We have a 25. I write my 5 there. Easy. Afterwards, we go to the 30s, which is the last component now of this thing. In my 30s, let's choose this weird green here. I have this part. I have this part. It's not even visible the way I want it. Let's use a highlighter. I have a 30 here. A 30 there. A 30 there. And a 30 there, right? So now in that case, here we go. Let's use this guy. The smallest 30 I have is this one, so let's write the 0 there. 3 and 0, that's a 30. The next number is what? It's 31s. They are all 31s. 1 2 3. So I have 1 2 3. They are all 31s. This 3 and the 1 is 31, like that. See how beautiful is that? So this is your stem and leaf, guys. Where will you get your marks? Of course, you have to know this. You'll get your marks here on the heading that this is the stem, this is the leaf, you'll get your marks here on your stem being proper like this. Make sure you don't skip values. You have 0, 1, 2, 3. If we didn't have 20s, you were not supposed to say 0, 1, 3. No, just say 0, 1, 2, 3. And then here on 2, because we wouldn't have values on the 20s, you write nothing there. You just leave it blank. But here, this thing, let it flow. We want this thing to flow here. So 1 mark for the word stem and leaf, 1 mark here. And sometimes here we might throw 2 marks, depending on how the examiner feels, right? So usually this thing is roughly 4 marks in total. Stem and leaf. Now, next question. Frequency tables, right? So we are saying now, after we did things like this, after we did this question here, using our data, this data that you see here that is scrambled, it's the same data here. I try to make sure that I use the same data. So we organized it into this stem and leaf here. Let me clean the stem and leaf a little bit. Here we are. I cleaned the stem and leaf. So now, actually this data here, we don't need this data here. We need the stem and leaf. Let me copy the stem and leaf and put it here. So here's that stem and leaf, guys. You see that it's so beautiful, right? So this data set that was here, this one, if they ask you to provide it, the frequency table for this, you need organized data for this. And this is our organized data. It's not grouped, but it's organized because it's arranged from smallest to biggest here. So now, this block here on your frequency table, if we ask you to create a frequency table for that data set, your frequency table is supposed to be like this. This part of the tally is not important. What's important is this column and this column of frequency, those first 2 columns. Now, if ever the examiner wants to be tricky, they are saying draw a frequency table that has a tally on it. It will look like this. So I wanted to show you the total thing, right? So you don't get lost. Now, here, what you're going to put it says heading from the topic, right? So here, our topic says the following data shows the ages of 20 people consisting of parents and their children. So here, our heading will be what? Ages of 20 people. Let's make a heading fast. Ages of 20 people. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying now your heading will be anything. If I have 20 learners in a class, their headings will be different because how they will choose to make a heading out of this sentence, it won't be the same for all 20 learners, right? So don't feel somehow feeling like your heading is not the best and things like that. We don't choose by the best heading here. It just needs to match with the statement, right? So now here, let's do the thing. Now, ages of 20 people. What you're going to do here is that you write the ages here. Let's start with the smallest age. The smallest age is, what is this? 0 and 2. That is 2. That is the smallest age. 2 years, right? The next age is what? It's 3 years. So here I'll put 3. The other one says 3 years, but it already appears, right? So this one that says 2, how many did I have? I had 1 person who was 2 years. Here for 3 years, how many people do I have? I have 2 people who are 3 years old. The tally for that, it's 1. The tally for 2, it's 1, 2. Easy, right? Now, the next part. The next age here, it's what? It's 4 years. So I'll write 4. How many people do I have who are 4 years old? 1. The tally for that, boom, right there. The next age, it's 8. So I'll put an 8 here. How many people are 8 years old? I have 1. The tally for that, it's boom, right there. The next age is what? It's 9. How many? 1. The tally, boom, right. The next age is a 10. 10. How many? 1. The tally. Boom. The next age is a 13. 13. How many people are 13 years old? I have 1. The tally for that right there. The next age is what? It's 16. I'm looking at it here. The next age is a 16. How many 16-year-olds do I have? I have 2. So the tally for that, 1, 2. Next age, I have what? I have 18. My values won't fit all of them here. I have 18. How many people? I have 1. The tally for that, it's boom, 1 there, right? So let me do this until my columns end. The next age is what? It's this one here, 20. How many people there? I have 1 person who's 20 years old. The tally for that, it's 1. The next age is 21. Right? How many people I have there? I have 1, so the tally for that is 1. You'll do this now for all the values. For all the values, we did up to 21. You must do 22, 25, 30, 31, 31, 31. So in 31, you're just going to write 131. The frequency will be 3 because you have 3 people. The tally for that will be 1, 2, 3. If your people were 5, your tally is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I hope you know tallies. If your people are 7, your tally is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right? Tallies, guys. I hope you remember these things from primary. Right? So, this is your frequency table, guys. When I ask you for a frequency table, this is what you give me. Stats is super easy, guys. I don't see why you would lose in stats. Right? Next part. Now, the next part wants us to create bar graphs. What do you need for bar graphs? We usually call these things frequency bar graphs. The question paper will say, draw a frequency bar graph. Draw a frequency bar graph to represent the ages of those people. Draw a frequency bar graph to represent the ages. Now, there, what do? You go to the table. You take this table that has the frequency. Let me quickly do that. With this frequency bar graph, what do? You create for me the following. This question, usually, it's 4 marks. From question papers, this question, usually, it's 4 marks. So, you're going to create a bar graph for me, right? I'm going to teach you how to do this question and get 3 marks out of 4. You don't need all the marks. Unless you have all the time, then you can do that. So on this side here, I want to twist my writing pad so I can be able to write this properly. This is tricky. This is free. Oh, this one happened. I want to write this thing on the sides. So you're just going to write frequency here. It must be horizontal here. So your frequency, here's our frequency here. It has 1s and 2s. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3. Let's say 4 also. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Where will you get these values? You get them from this part of the table. You look at what's your smallest value, what's your highest value, and then you want to accommodate them. Hope we good, right? Hope we good there. So, now, after writing that this part is a frequency, you will get 1 mark for that. The next part where you're going to get a mark, it's for you writing the following. When you say the ages, remember now, the data that we have here, it's about ages. And then you go here, you accommodate these ages. A 2-year-old, and then you have, it's 2-year-old, and then you have a 3-year-old. Here's a 3-year-old. You have a 4-year-old, then you put a 4 here. You have an 8-year-old, you put an 8 here. You have a 9-year-old, you'll put a 9 here. 10-year-old, you put a 10 there. You do this for all ages. After that, you make a bar graph. So you're going to say, for 2-year-olds, how many people do you have? Boom, a bar there. You have 1 person. For 3-year-olds, how many people do you have? You have 2. Your bar will rise up until 2. Boom, right there. For 4-year-olds, how many do you have? You have 1. Boom, it rises up to 1 there. And then 8-year-olds, how many do you have? You still have 1 also. 9-year-olds, how many do you have? You have 1 also. So your bar graphs, we call them bar graphs because, as you can see here, there's a gap between the graphs here. There must be a gap. So if the bars have gaps, then you get a mark for that. So another mark goes here. Another mark goes here. Another mark goes here for you labeling that these are ages and you wrote the ages here. Now the 4th mark, where will it come from? The 4th mark will come from the heading. So here I'm going to say ages of, what was the topic about? You go to the topic to get the heading. Ages of parents and their children. Then you come back here. Ages of parents and their children. Right there. So final mark goes there. That's where your 4 marks is going. First, it's frequency. The other part, it's ages. The other part, it's the heading. That's all that you need. That's all you need, guys. We're good. So now, let's move on. And then there's some things we call measures of central tendency. Now, when we talk about measures of central tendency, basically here, we are talking about the mean, we are talking about the median, and we are talking about the mode. And there are different aspects to that. So for this data set, if I ask you to give me measures of central tendency here, you're going to find those 3 things for me all the time. I hope you're good. The mean, the median, and the mode. Those are measures of central tendency. But for that to happen, your data needs to be organized. This data here, remember we said it's not organized. That's why we created a stem and leaf to organize this data. Now let's put that stem and leaf here because it has this data in an organized way from smallest to biggest. So let's start with the mean. Here's the data here. Now, when we talk about the mean, we are basically talking about the average of the graph, right? Let me put this here. The mean, the symbol for the mean is this one that says X bar, right? And X bar, its formula is sigma X over N. That's how we calculate it. What does the N represent? This represents the number of values you have. What does the sigma X represent? The sum of all values. And then this represents the mean. Now let's do some substitution. X bar is equals to, this is you adding all the values. First we have a 2 here. We add a 2 plus with a 3 here. We add a 3 plus we add another 3 there. We put a 3 there. Then there are too many values there. So obviously you won't be able to write all these things for me. But this step it's necessary. So here you're going to say plus, then you put 3 dots there. And then you say plus. And then here you put the last value. What is the last value in this data set? It's this one, which is 31, right? So you write 31 there. All over the number of values you have. How many values were we working with? From also the question, it says 20 people. And yes, we know that these values are 20. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So we have 20 values in total. So here, I'm just going to write 20. And then you get the value for that. This value gives you, it gets us 325 over 20. Now, the thing with stats, guys, is that it's easy to make mistakes here, especially with all this data values. So make sure you're careful. This now gives us 16.25 when we simplify it. We're good. But then here we are talking about what? We are talking about the ages. Calling someone 16.25 years old doesn't make sense. So we actually have to round this off. So we're going to say, therefore, the mean, we write it as X bar. When I say X bar, meaning like X bar. This is how we call it, X bar. So our mean is equals to, not equals to, it's not equals to because we don't have the exact value here. We are rounding off a 16 now. So when we round off a 16, it becomes what? It becomes approximately 16. When you round it off, it becomes what? Doesn't change to 17 because 25, it's too small. So it remains 16 years old. Our average age, it's roughly 16 years old. Right. There we go. Now here we have to talk about the median now. The median is the middle value. And then if you have an even number, then your middle value, you find it by looking at the two central values of your data set. The best thing to do here is to use the formula. Let's say the median. The symbol for median, remember here the symbol for the mean was X bar. The symbol for the median is called Q2. And then we don't have the formula for the mean, but for the median, but we have the formula for the position of the median. Where is it on the data set? The formula says half of n plus 1, right? So substitution. What is n? N is the amount of values we have. Remember here how we substituted n? We do the same here. Our n is 20. 20 plus 1. So actually we are looking for half of 21. What is half of 21? Half of 21 is 10,5, right? So when this thing now says the position of the median is 10,5, it's basically saying that our median is found between position 10 and position 11. Right, position 10 and position 11, because 10,5 is found between two values, which is 10 and 11. So now our median, it's going to be the average of those two values, the value in number 10 and the value in number 11. So let's find those values. You go to your diagram, you look for value number 10. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is value number 10. And we said value what? Value number 11 also. Because 10.5 is between 10 and 11. So we look for the average of these two. The average of those two is 6 plus 6 all over 2. Our answer there is what? It's 6. So our median is equals to 6. Easy as that. Now the next part, we want to work with the mode. I don't even need a lot of space for the mode, so I'll do it here. When we talk about the mode, we are talking about the value that appears the most in the data set. Let me choose a highlighter this time. So I have 3 and 3 appearing twice, appearing twice, appearing twice. So the number that appears the most is this one. You see these ones here, there are 3 of them. So those ones, they represent what? Remember, they represent 31, because the stem is here, the leaf is here. That's the first 31. This is the second 31. This is the third 31. So our mode is 31. The number that appears the most is 31. We good? So afterwards, we have outliers. With regards to outliers, here's what we're going to say. Outliers are numbers that are extreme values. This is as easy as that. Either they're extremely small or they're extremely high. What do we mean by that? If I have my sequence as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and my sequence is made of 10 values. Value number 10 is 100. Now you can see that this 100 doesn't belong here. This 100 is too far. It's an outlier. It doesn't belong here, right? It's too high. So that's why we call it an outlier. Outliers are extreme values. These values, they seem fairly close to one another. It seems like they belong together. They're so close to each other. Then boom, you have 100. Now this 100, we call it an outlier, right? Now, does an outlier always become a smaller value? No. We can have a value as 780. We can have the next one as 799. We can have the next value as 820. We can have the next value as 900. We can have the next value as 922. And then we can have the other value as boom, 1. You see that this is a sequence. I mean, this is not it's a data set. Now, this data set, it has these values nice in the 700s, in the 800s, in the 900s, and then boom, we have 1. This 1 is an outlier to all these values because it's too far from all the values. These values are fairly close to each other. They are closer to each other than they are closer to 1. 1 is too far. Therefore, this one is an outlier. So now in the data set, I'll always ask you, does this data set have an outlier? If it does, you answer me yes, it has an outlier, which is so and so. In this case, the outlier was what? It was 100. In this case, the outlier was what? It was a 1. You see that? So that's how it is. So now to reinforce on what we spoke about, I want to answer this question here with you guys. Answer this question here with you, but I'm going to avoid one question because this one I haven't covered it yet. The one that says the lower and the upper quartile. Let's remove that. Right, which means here we are working with 9 marks here. Firstly, it says represent the data on the stem and leaf. So it will create the stem and the leaf. Boom. Boom. So first we want to see the lowest value. Amongst these, the lowest value that I see, I think it's this one here, 110. Now, is there any smaller value there? No. So that's where I'll start. The 1 stem. My leaf is going to be 0. Therefore, meaning now, when I combine this, the stem and the leaf, it becomes this way. The thing is, on the leaf, you need one value. On the stem, you can have as many values as you want, but on the leaf, you need one value, right? So that is that. I'll remove this one. And then now I go to the next bigger value here is what? From 110, the bigger value. Is there any other in the 112, 113, maybe 114? No. So now I'll go to 1, 2, to the 120s. The 120s, first I have this one. I have this one also. I also have this one. And that is that. Stats take some time, guys. So you have to be patient with it. So it's an 8 here. It's a 9. It's a 9. I have this one 29, this one 29, and I have this one 28. Now let's choose a different color. I feel like this one is appearing a lot now. So now I go to 130s. So this is 130. And this is 130. This is 130. And that is that. So let's write them. First one is this one. Oh, also this one. So I have 130. The next one is 31. 131. The next one is 33. So I have 133. And then I have 39. So I have 139. I'm done with the 30s, right? And then I go to the 40s. Oh, in the 20s, I missed the 125. Let me write that. See that sometimes you miss things, guys. Here's a 125 here. So I'll put this 9 here. Oops. I'll put this 9 here. This one will be an 8. This one will be a 5. Let's erase it and write it properly. This will be a 5. Missed this one, right? So yes, now we are going to 140s. That's what we should be on right now. So let's choose a pen for that. 140s, I have this one, and this one, 143. It was hiding there, right? So 140s, I have the smallest one, that is 142 here. I have 143 there. And then I have 147 there. These things are easy, guys, but you'll be surprised how much you'll make mistakes and lose marks here. Very. And then I go to, let's use orange now, to 50s. I have this one, I have this one, I have this one, and that is that, right? So the youngest one, okay, 150, it's a 151. I have 152, I have 153. So I'm done with the 150s. See what's happening? And I go to the 160s. Let's use a green pen maybe. I have a 162 as the youngest. 2 of those. So 116 is the stem. 2 and 2 are the stems. And I have a 65. So I put 165 there. So this is my stem and leaf now. Easy 4 marks there. probably they're going to mark this together. This leaf is going to get 2 marks most probably. I told you this is usually 4 marks. And now 1.2 says find the median, right? So the median, remember we know the formula for finding the position of the median. The formula for finding the position, it's half n plus 1, right? And then so we substitute into that, it's half. What is n? It says we have 18 learners here, so which means these values are all 18. 1, 2, 3. So it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So yes, 18 values. So it's 18 plus 1. That is half of 19, right? What is half of 19? Half of 19 is 9,5, right? 9,5 now, it's a value that rests between two values. It rests between 9 and 10. So which means my median, my Q2, is equals to value number 9 plus value number 10 over 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is value number 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then this means this is value number 10. So what value is this? This is not a 9. This is 139 because it has a stem there. So 139 plus value number 10 is this one. This is not a 2. This is a 142 when we include the stem there. I divide this by 2 and then the answer there gets me 140,5. Right. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about the heights recorded in centimeters. Now, can height be 140,5? Yes. So my Q2 is 140,5 centimeters because we are talking about what? We're talking about height. Height can be in decimals. But if we were talking about ages, ages can never be in decimals. Hope we're good there. And then afterward, we have to find the mode. The mode is the number that appears the most. That's 1.2.2. So the mode here will be, is there a number that appears 3 times? Nah. I only see this one appearing 2 times. I also see this one appearing 2 times. So our mode is, remember, here's the stem. Our mode is 129. And this one, what is this one? This is not a 2, this is 162 because it has a stem, right? So that's our mode. So this, because it has 2 modes, we call it bimodal. We are saying this data is bimodal because it has 2 modes. Now the next part, we have to find the mean. Now to find the mean, the equation goes as follows. Let me create some space here. We are saying now that it's going to be x bar is equals to sigma x over n, right? What is our sigma x? That is 110 plus 125 plus 128. Let's put it properly. 128 plus all the values up until 165. All that divided by the number of values. How many values do we have? We said we have 18. Therefore, our x bar is going to be equals to, so they'll probably mark the formula or they'll mark the substitution and the answer because this thing now it's 2 marks. So the answer there is 140,61. And what were we talking about here? Remember, we were talking about the height. So height, which was measured in centimeters. So this is centimeters. See that? So that is that, guys. I don't want to make the video too long. I hope you enjoyed. So please make sure that you like and subscribe to this one. And then make sure you practice these concepts very much. Happy studying. Hope to see you on the next one. And goodbye.